At the end of this video, you will understand why some men are unforgettable to women and why others are instantly forgotten. This is not about tricks, this is not about manipulation, and it's definitely not about being nice. Today, you're going to understand female emotional attraction at its core, and once you see it, you won't unsee it. Men are taught a lie. They're told, make her feel good about herself and she'll like you. It sounds logical, it sounds respectful, but if that were true, nice guys would be dominating dating, and they don't. And the reason they don't is simple. Attraction is not built on comfort alone. Human beings do not bond through pleasure by itself. They bond through contrast. Pleasure without contrast becomes invisible. Think about food for a second. Would you eat the same meal every single day, even if it tasted good? No. Not because the food is bad, but because after a while, it stops being stimulating. Attraction works the same exact way. A woman becomes emotionally invested when a man makes her feel more than one emotion. Not chaos, not cruelty, but range. A range of emotions such as confidence, curiosity, excitement, tension, relief, laughter, and depth. This is why emotional stories, dramas, and thrillers pull people in. Not because they're calm, but because they move you. Now, let's address something honestly. Why are women often drawn to men they know aren't good for them? Men who are unreliable, who don't explain themselves, and who don't seek approval. It's not because those men are better people, it's because they create emotional polarity. Uncertainty creates curiosity. Curiosity creates focus, and focus creates attachment. This doesn't mean cheating, it doesn't mean lying, and it doesn't mean disrespect. It means emotional contrast. Now here's a distinction most men never understand. A friend provides stability, safety, and predictability. A lover provides emotional movement, tension, and release, and mystery. If you never challenge her emotionally, you don't become attractive, you become safe. And safe is invisible. This is where most men misunderstand the message. This is not about making her cry on purpose. It's not about being rude, and it's not about playing mind games. It's not about disappearing randomly, and it's definitely not about emotional abuse. What this is about is restraint. Not over-explaining yourself, not chasing validation, not reacting emotionally to her moods, not being available on demand, and having a life that does not revolve around her. That's a massive difference between being unpredictable and making someone insecure. Unpredictability says, I'm grounded, I choose when I engage. Insecurity says, I don't know who I am, so I'm inconsistent. Women are attracted to the first, and they leave the second. One of the strongest masculine traits is emotional restraint. Not coldness, not indifference, but restraint. You don't rush to explain. You don't rush to reassure. You don't rush to confess feelings. You let things breathe. Let me give you an example. If she says, I'm a nurse, a weak response would be, wow, that's amazing. Nurses are incredible. That suits you perfectly. What she hears is, please like me. Please validate me. A stronger response is, a nurse, interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. And then you pause and you let her fill the silence. Now she's invested. Here's another example. Let's say she says, I'm from New York. A weak response would be, wow, New York is incredible. I love New York. A strong response would be, New York, that explains the attitude. Then you smile and you let it land. That's challenge without an insult and confidence without an explanation. Here's the key thing most men don't understand. The moment you start explaining your feelings, over-communicating interest, or seeking reassurance, you remove mystery. And mystery is not deception, but it's space. And space is where attraction grows. That's one rule I want you to remember. Never be afraid of her reactions. Fear makes you reactive, and reactivity kills attraction. If you're afraid she'll lose interest, you act needy. And if you're afraid she'll forget you, you overtext. Confidence says, I'll be fine either way, and that energy is magnetic. Here's the final truth. Women don't want boredom. They don't want chaos either. They want presence, they want polarity, they want emotional depth. Be grounded, be interesting, be unavailable to validation-seeking behavior, and most importantly, live a life that excites you, because when your life has gravity, people orbit it. If this video challenged the way you think, hit the like button. Let's push this channel to 1,000 likes. Drop your questions in the comments. I read them and I make videos from them. Stay disciplined, stay confident, and remember, you don't attract by chasing, you attract by becoming. I'll see you in the next one.